Thanks for tuning in to Agile SOC On Demand on agilesoc.com. This is part 2 in our SVUnit demo series where we help people get started with the SVUnit unit test framework. I'm Neil Johnson. This video shows how to modify and run the SVUnit framework as source code and corresponding unit tests are added. And to do that, we'll carry on from the work that we did in part 1. We'll start with a test runner that has one test suite, and that test suite will have one unit test instance. This is where we ended at in part 1. And from there we're going to add a unit test to the test suite and show you how to rebuild and rerun the framework with that new unit test. And finally we're going to add a second test suite with a single unit test instance, and again show you how to rebuild and rerun the entire framework. And all this can be done with the scripts that come with SVUnit. Let's get started. So I already have a local copy of SVUnit. I'm going to go into the SVUnit code directory, and I'm going to source the setup.bash script. Now the environment setup was something that we covered in the part 1 video. If you haven't seen that, I'd suggest watching that first and then coming back and going through the part 2 demo. Now I'm going to go into our demo directory, and I'm going to create the SVUnit framework that includes our .dot and our .unit test that we already wrote. So if I ls this, you'll see .dot and .unit test there. That's what we had from part 1. And like we did with part 1, we can simulate this. Oh, pardon me. I forgot to create the framework. There we are. So that creates the framework. Now, like part 1, we can simulate this, but we're going to go do so using Questa this time around to show you that SVUnit isn't simulator dependent. So to do that, we're going to go into svunit.make. We're going to get rid of the references to VCS, and we are going to point to the Questa.make file instead. We'll save this, and we'll run this, and we'll take a look at the results. You can see Questa running here. So now you can see the hierarchy of the framework. You can see the test suite that we have, and the name of the test suite is derived from the directory that it's in. And the way SVUnit works is there's one test suite per directory. So this test suite was created in Home N Johnson SVUnit demo. So that's the name of the test suite. And then you can see that the test suite in the directory is an aggregate of all the unit test instances in that directory. So here you can see that we have one, which is what we're expecting, which was called .unit test. So one directory, one test suite that has one unit test. Pretty basic. Now we're going to add a unit test to that test suite. And to do that, we're going to edit a file called ._a. Similar to what we did with part 1, we're going to make this just a very basic class that doesn't do anything. We'll close this, and of course we've added more source code. Now we want to add a unit test for that new source code that we added. So we are going to use the create unit test to create a template for ._a. So now what we'll have is we've got .dot and .unit test here, and now we have also got .a and .a unit test. So when we run this, we would hope to see a test suite running with 2 unit tests. So let's do that. You can hit make and look at the output, but what we have is what we had before. We have one test suite and we have one unit test instance running. So this isn't quite doing what we want, to do what we want, we have to be able to regenerate the framework. So let's do that. Let's clean out the old stuff that we had. And let's use create SVUnit to regenerate the framework now, so that there will be 2 unit test instances in our test suite. So let's create SVUnit, and let's re-simulate this now and see what we get. So this is looking better. We have the test suite here. You can see that we have the .a unit, or the .unit test that we had before, and now with the regenerated framework we have .a as well. So now we have one test suite with 2 unit test instances being simulated. So this is what we want. So that's adding a unit test. Now we can add a test suite. So like I said before, a test suite is an aggregate of all the tests, of all the unit test instances in a particular directory. So to make a new test suite, we're going to add a new directory. So let's call this directory child, and let's go into that new directory, and we will make a class, no surprise here, call this one .b, just a basic class declaration. We'll save that, and we'll create a unit test for .b. Well, ls, so there's our new directory. We've got .b, and we've got a unit test for that .b. So let's go back to our project root directory and clean it out. And similar to when, whoops, I'll make it again. So, well, actually that's good that I did that. So we did create the new directory and created new unit tests, but like we saw before, when we added a unit test without regenerating the framework, nothing changes. So we still just have this one test suite. We've got dot and we've got .a, but no reference to the test suite or the unit test that we created in the child directory. So to get that, let's clean out the old stuff. Let's regenerate the framework with our trusty create SVUnit. So now we've got a new version of the framework, and let's make this and see what happens. So now what we get is looking a little better. We have the original test suite here with .unit test and .a unit test. And now we have an additional test suite here. So home and Johnson SVUnit demo child. This is the test suite in the child directory, and you can see there's one unit test instance there, and that's called .b, and that's what we are expecting. Later on in the logging here, you can see again that we've got 2 test suites reporting a pass. This is the original, and then the test suite in the child directory is also reporting a pass. And because both those test suites are, we've got the test runner reporting a pass as well. So that's it. That's as far as we'll go here. Just to give you a quick recap, we started with the structure that we had in part 1. So a test runner with 1 test suite and 1 unit test instance. We went through how to add an additional unit test to that original test suite. Regenerate and rerun, resimulate the framework. And then the last thing that we did was add the child directory and add unit tests in that child directory that end up resulting in a new test suite. We simulated this and we saw the results of 2 test suites, 3 unit tests running in 2 test suites. So that takes us to the end of part 2 of the SVUnit demo series on agilesoc.com. I'm Neil Johnson. Thanks for watching.